Welcome to another episode of Bucket List Coach Web Show Live. Well, hello. This is Cindy Lee over at Bucket List Coach Web Show Live. A little bit about the podcast. I started podcasting and writing with the inspiration of Anthony Bourdain. And in 2017, I started this very podcast. So, Bucket List Coach Web Show is about lifestyle, a lot of food based on Anthony Bourdain, and of course, aviation. And this year marks the 5th year with aviation. So we have some really great stuff coming up in May. Actually, we're doing some collaboratives with the Top Gun restaurant, Kansas City Barbecue. And of course, a latter part of May is the amazing Top Gun movie night at the USS Midway Museum. And today we're talking about National Bucket List Day week and a few other holidays. Amy, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody about National Day Calendar.
Hey, everybody, I'm Amy. I'm CEO, partner, and office manager, business manager for National Day Calendar. We are the original source for all of the quirky days, ranging from National Pizza Day all the way to National Bucket List Day. We also celebrate weeks, months, and international days, weeks, and months. So, yeah, that's basically what we do. Our goal every day is just to make one person smile. And if we can do that by 9 o'clock, we're just going to make 2 people smile.
Well, before we go in today's show, let's talk about the value of becoming an ambassador and the process of becoming a founder of someone's very own holiday.
Well, the process to become first of all, an ambassador is what we refer to as a celebration ambassador. They're handpicked people across the world that basically use National Day Calendar or actually use National Day Calendar within their own media platform to celebrate every day. It ranges from posting, video creation, podcasting. There's a wide variety of things people can do, and it's across multiple platforms. It could be either one platform or it could be 5 platforms. We look for people who are upbeat and have a positive attitude towards life, show gratitude, and just like to have a little bit of fun throughout their week. And then as far as the submission process, we're going to just use your day because, you're here. So Sydney submitted a national day to us called National Bucket List Day. And it went to the review committee and we discussed it and decided that it would be a great celebratory day to add to our calendar. And basically from there, after the submission gets approved, we, work out the details, create an organic story, work with the person who the day is, who the author of the day is, I should say the founder. And then we go from there and we give a little bit of guidance on how to promote your day. And then after that, it just takes off on the internet and it's all history after that.
So let's go into today's list of months and weeks.
First, I want to back up.
Yes.
On your intro, we've been doing this a while, the 2 of us, a couple years. Is that you surfing?
It is.
Oh, good gravy. Okay.
It is.
All this time, I just now realized, is that Cindy surfing?
100%.
That's awesome.
Out of my gourd, but I did. I've done it 3 times already. And actually, you're going to get a chance to meet my surf instructor. He's going to be coming to our list of activities for next week.
So. Oh, nice.
Definitely. All right. One of my very favorite months, National Volunteer Month. Let's talk about that.
National Volunteer Month, well, is self-explanatory. It's a month specifically dedicated for those who maybe don't volunteer on a daily basis. It's a time to set an entire month apart or set aside a couple of days within that month to volunteer in your community. And it can be anything from, volunteering at your library, volunteering to pick up trash, volunteering at the senior center. Volunteer work isn't just limited to big, organizations, the little people always need probably the most help. Some ways that you can volunteer in your community is through a soup kitchen. That's probably the most effective way. You can volunteer to even help your neighbor. If your neighbor is elderly, ask them if they need any chores done around their house. If they need help grocery shopping. It
Mhm.
just all depends on what you can look into your own life. We're all very busy, but volunteers are needed for a lot of different things throughout the year.
Well, that's actually a good piggyback into my next one. So, National Earth Day. I actually was at the Huntington Beach Pier today taking some video because they did have a couple booths for the Giving Corner, and one of the ones is one of my favorite foundations, and that is the North Orange County Surfrider Foundation. The
Okay.
22nd is National Earth Day, and you can create an Earth Day anytime throughout that week. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the 22nd. It could be on the weekend, the 25th, the 26th. Let's talk about that.
So Earth Day, is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Basically, it's care for our earth, whether that be through litter control or, caring for the land or even supporting emissions control. I mean, there's so many different things that Earth Day is about, trying to eliminate water bottles and straws, but it's also about learning how to care for your community. It's a big it is a big task to be able to tackle everything at one time. So doing small things in your community, for instance, you were at the beach, there's cleanup at the beach, there's cleanup in the ditches, there's pick up a piece of paper on the sidewalk if you're walking in town.
Oh,
Earth
definitely.
Day is just about taking care of our planet Earth and appreciating it as a whole and not just, in one area, like in the rainforest. Well, not everybody can get there. So if we all do our part where we are, it actually will benefit all of us in the long run.
Brunch Month. So I'm going to talk about this. So we're going to talk a little bit more later in the show about National Bucket List Day. But Brunch Month is a great holiday where you can collaborate with restaurants. So a lot of people say that National Bucket List Day is just about travel. And actually, a
No.
lot of it is about food because food is celebration. So you're going to go out with
Yeah.
friends, you're enjoying, like, say, a local gem, this amazing, new restaurant or something that's very unique. You could create those experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
National Brunch Month is so fantastic. And a matter of fact, just a couple days ago, I visited a small airport here in Fullerton, and they had a beautiful setup. The whole setup was all about airplanes, and the inside was absolutely beautiful. And right outside my window was all these airplanes. There were some parked and some taken off. So that was a really great way for me to celebrate National Eggs Benedict Day. But definitely a great way for you to connect. The restaurant that I talked to today said they're gonna do a play on Eggs Benedict. So I'm very excited. Board Riders Cafe,
That's
which
kind
we'll
of
talk
cool
about
and
in
unique.
yeah.
Can I have that footage?
What's that?
Can I have the footage? Because I know you're going to record it.
It's already recorded. Yeah, right after the show, it'll be up. Okay, Jelly Beans Day.
Jelly beans. Yeah, I'm not really a jelly bean girl, but I do like the black licorice ones. So if anybody has any left over, pop them in the mail. I'll take them. Most people don't eat the black licorice.
And I actually have with my card system, I have a card that says "You've been amazing," and I'll
Hmm.
usually send like a little packet of jelly beans with that.
Yeah.
And let's just skip through a few, and then we'll do bucket last. This is really amazing because we're staying at the Shorebreak Hotel here on Friday night, and
Okay.
the opening day is the last Saturday of the month. Let's talk about that.
So pool opening day is kind of a tough one for depending upon where you are demographically. Northern part of the country, we're not thinking about pools. No, I take that back. We are thinking about pools, but there are none open. It's still a little cold. Basically, southern part pools are all opening. Is in areas where the temperature is above 70 degrees now, more than half the time. So yeah, pool opening day is a good time to take the family to the pool. First time of the year. I'm gonna miss it because I'm gonna be on a plane home. but you're going to be there, so you can do some footage, I suppose.
Of course. So I'm going to be going to Sacramento a few days after you leave, actually,
Okay.
on National Prime Rib Day. So for Prime Rib Day, I'm going to be going to Cattleman's right outside of Sacramento, a place called Rancho Cordova. And me and about 15 friends are going to celebrate. And then a few days later, I have a booth with our travel agency at the Franchise Tax Board. So we're talking about wellness and some really great things. But Prime Rib Day is going to be celebrated in some unique ways. It's the 30th of every April 30th of every year.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. And I just booked a cruise on the brand new Virgin Voyages. And with that cruise, I have a 8 hour layover. So I'm going to spend a couple hours at the House of Prime Rib, which is a very famous Anthony Bourdain spot. So what do you feel
Yeah,
about prime
and
rib? Do you do
you
that
are
in
a
North
huge
Dakota?
Anthony Bourdain fan.
Yeah.
I'm a North Dakota girl. I'm gonna be a snob and say I have yet to taste a steak of any kind that tastes as good as it does in North Dakota. I
I will
mean,
challenge you to come out to House of Prime Rib in San Francisco. Best
okay,
prime rib in the world. Yes.
next time. That's what they all say. But man, being a girl from North Dakota where we have the best cattle, yeah, you can taste the difference. I'm gonna not gonna
Mhm.
say everybody else is terrible, but there's just something about our beef, that is special. It tastes good. The texture is good. And so yeah, let's just do a challenge. And or here's a challenge. I'll get some prime rib, you get some prime rib, we'll meet halfway, cook it, a taste test.
Well, I actually used to be a cook at Ruth's Chris, and they made pretty good prime rib as
Yeah.
well. Okay, so the last one before we go into bucket list day, I'm going to talk about tell a story, then you can tell your story. So, telling your story is pretty powerful. It's just like having a why is pretty powerful.
It
So, about
is.
a year before I started my travel agency, I was at a surf museum in Northern California in Santa Cruz. And that's one of the things I like for my bucket list is to try different museums, whether it be an aquarium or an art museum or some kind of museum, especially surfing museums being that that I'm here in Surf City, USA. So the Santa Cruz Museum is absolutely fantastic. So I walk out of the museum, I see this young man, and I said, "Hello, are you having a good day?" He goes, "Oh God, I'm having such a great day." He goes, "Do you know that I have a bucket list?" And he literally had a bucket list, and I got this feeling from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. That what I'm doing, there's supposed to be more to what I'm doing. And a year later is when I started my agency. So it's super important to have a why, have a story.
Yes.
What's your take on National Tell a Story Day?
I'm all for telling stories. Anybody who knows me knows I have a creative mind, and I can
Mhm.
write, and I can tell stories. Personally, without going into too much detail, I was in an extremely abusive marriage. And the first 3 years, I kind of didn't say anything about it. I was working in therapy, still am in therapy, just trying to work through emotions, anger, even picking out my own faults, because you're the person that you're with who's doing the abusing. Of course, they have issues that they have, but you develop things over time too. So it's important to do that. Fast forward, last fall, I gave a public. I don't want to say I was invited to speak at this public event,
Mhm.
um, and 15-20 minutes about my story of domestic violence, about where I was when I left and to where I am now, how I got there, the things I do, my self care, and sometimes stories like that make people uncomfortable.
Mhm.
In fact, they make a lot of people uncomfortable, but I have a philosophy that if I can't help one person navigate through either getting out of the relationship or while they're in the relationship or even after the relationship, then everything that I'm doing has paid off because I've put a lot of hours into changing my life. And telling stories is one way that you can do that. I do want to shift my conversation and talk about the stories that I tell my grandkids when they spend the night.
That's amazing.
So when we spend the night, when they sleep over at my place, I put them to bed and I lay down with them, and we play this game called Would You Rather. So
Wow.
would you rather is, would you rather do this or would you rather do that? So I let them each pick a topic, and then I make up the wildest, most outlandish story you could ever possibly think of. And I've been doing that for them, since they were born. So telling those kinds of stories, um, it sparks their imagination, but it gets them excited about telling stories when they get older. So yeah.
Wow. Well, this is a big one of my favorite holidays of the whole year, and that's National Pretzel Day. And I just started a collaboration
For
with.
real? I never would have pegged that, and I've known you for how long?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Especially with the whole German thing and me having Germany on my bucket list. And so there's a local restaurant called the Beer Garden, Huntington Beach.
Okay.
Absolutely fantastic. Right now they have a European Spring Fest, and I was just there on Sunday, and they're going to be there every weekend
Okay.
for the next few weeks for this particular festival. I mean, you could dine in the regular restaurant, but the festival is amazing. They even had a little doggy run. I don't know if you've seen the one that I put on
I've seen the
TikTok.
doggy run. It was like way
Yeah.
cute.
And I interviewed one of the waiters. I interviewed the lady who made me the limoncello, and
I love a good
it was just
limoncello.
fantastic. So they asked me to go there prior to, so I went on Sunday, and then on the 26th, the day after the pool weekend, we're going to go back and try some pretzels. They have an amazing pretzel sandwich that definitely, if you live here in Orange County, you definitely need to try one for your bucket list. And it's a really great way to stimulate this business. The way that people are dressed, the music in the actual restaurant is amazing. And it's just such a great way to experience Germany right here in Orange County.
It
So
sounds like a
pretty.
lot of fun. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yes,
sounds
it
like a
was
lot of
really
fun.
fun. Okay, let me go to our main. So I'm just going to go through the website real quick, and then we'll go to the flyer. So this is nationalbucketlistday.com, and you could find all these different crazy ideas to do for National Bucket List Day. And like I mentioned earlier, it's really important to connect with restaurants, because restaurants can post their drink specials, their food specials, everything like that. And then while I'm scrolling through, just go ahead and talk about what National Bucket List Day means to you.
So National Bucket List Day is actually one of our funnest holidays. On a personal note, I'm really good friends with Cindy outside of the ambassador thing. Um, Bucket lists are a variety of things. A lot of people attribute bucket lists to something that it means to take a huge vacation or spend oodles amounts of money to do from get to point, from point A to point B. When the truth of the matter is you can have a tiny bucket list, and you can have a mid-sized bucket list, and you can have a super large bucket list. The tinier, smaller bucket lists are trying a new food. If you've never tried Greek cuisine, go to find a restaurant, give it a shot. If you have a personal goal to graduate from college, or get a certification in something, add that to your bucket list. Bucket lists don't have to be grand and extravagant. They can basically, their personal wishes, goals, preferences, and possibilities that each individual person needs to choose for themselves. It's about expanding yourself. It's about exploring things on your own, or in groups. A bucket list is anything that you pretty much want it to be.
So let's talk about the activities. So we're paying it forward to different restaurants and organizations throughout Orange County. So April 21st, Fountain Valley, we're going to stimulate the business of the Creative Ice Company. And actually, this Saturday, I'm going to an event of theirs where you could come in, you could bring anything. You could bring a boot, a shoe, whatever, suitcase, a little mini suitcase, and they could fill it up with ice cream. So I'm going to bring one of my little coconut things that I got from a cruise, and maybe, maybe something like this from, you remember Ryu Party?
I do.
Yes, so maybe something like that. But if you go to Creative Ice Company on Saturday, you could partake in that fun event. But our event to celebrate the beginning of Bucket List Day week is Fountain Valley, 6 p.m. And then we got the 22nd. So we're going to perform a little beach cleanup once we get to the paddleboarding part. But we're going to start at Davy's Locker. And also our friend Dave Reynolds, who's a local artist. It's his birthday on the 22nd. So we'll be celebrating his birthday.
Very nice.
Yes, and then after 2 hours of dolphins, we're going to head over to the Newport Aquatic Center where we're going to do a little paddle boarding. And then early to bed.
I'm kind of excited for that. I've never been paddleboarding
Oh,
before.
really?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
We'll get you out here another time to do a surf lesson.
Okay.
So the 23rd, we're actually going to be on KTLA, 11:30 a.m. And then we're heading over to Disneyland, and then we'll end at Trader Sam's Tiki Bar, which is an amazing tiki bar. At this current time, they are renovating the inside, but the outside, which is absolutely amazing. You could have a Dole Whip, you could have, something really fun on the tiki bucket list.
Okay,
And
cool.
then the last day, which is National Bucket List Day, we're going to stimulate 4 different businesses. First, we're going to go for the breakfast burrito or the avocado toast at Board Riders Cafe. And then we'll go
You
to,
remembered I like breakfast burritos. Hooray.
oh, very good. Right up your alley. Yes. And then we're going to go check out the Surf City Artisan Fair. And then for lunch, we're going to have the Papa's Argentinian cuisine, which is these amazing empanadas. And we'll hang out. Well, there's actually a surf competition with Jack Surfboard, so that's going to be really cool to watch for the first time. Anything you like to talk about surf competition? Have you ever seen it on TV?
I have never heard, I mean, I've never seen a surf competition in person, but I have seen one on TV, obviously. So this is like super exciting for me. I get to actually witness. So bucket list item, yay.
Awesome, awesome. And then in the evening, we're going to head out to Offshore 9 Rooftop Bar at the Hilton Waterfront. Absolutely fantastic. And we could see the sun go down, and you could see the beautiful pier right there on the top of the hotel. And then we're heading out to Hurricanes Bar, which they are featuring, actually, both restaurants are featuring the amazing signature dish and drink. So do you know about the signature drink for National Bucket List Day?
I do not.
Malibu rum and pineapple.
Oh, Malibu rum and pineapple. Okay.
Yes, and so they
I
do
don't
have
think
a
I don't
DJ.
think I don't think I have that on the website. We should add that in. I should add that in for you.
Yes, right after the show, I'll send you the verbiage on that. So
Yeah.
we're going to start at Hurricanes after the Waterfront Hilton, and it's more of a DJ feel, because it's going to be 8 o'clock at night. Then down the street, there's Killarney's and a few places to play rock and roll. So I figured that would be a good way for us to end the evening. So anything you'd like to touch on National Bucket List Day, and what's the importance of, again, celebrating with food and drink?
The importance of celebrating any day with food and drinks is it does a lot of different things, and the most important thing that it does is it brings people to probably places they would never visit, which is good business. It's a great way to bring customers in, and then you spread the word about the service and the food, and it's just a great way to help local businesses. Um, as far as celebrating with food and drink, I mean, who doesn't like food and drink? Let's be real. We all like food and drink. And it's the best way to make friends. It's the best way to relax. So yeah, food and drink is important for any celebration.
Let's talk about the article. I'll go to the article that you wrote with the end of 22. Okay, so you could look for it on Google. You could type in National Bucket List Day. So let's go through and talk about the different ways and what really is a bucket list.
Well, why don't you talk about that? You're the expert. I'm going to throw you out there.
Not a problem. Not a problem. To me, a bucket list is not just about travel. A bucket list is basically a list of things you want to do. A bucket list is your goals for the day. A bucket list is a way for you to create something that you've never done before. When was the last time that you did something for the very first time? Like I've skydived, I've surfed, and those are things that I'm scared of. And so the best things in life are on the other side of fear. So that's super important. And just other things that you want, like say you want to learn how to paint, or you want to learn how to get on a track in Las Vegas and go around, zoom zoom zoom. There's so many different things. You want to become an author, you want to become a podcaster, you want to get married, you want to do a girlfriend's trip. There's so many things that you can do. And one of the things that we're going to cover in the KTLA interview is some of the things that we can do, let's say for 200 or under $100. Our local excursion that we're doing for dolphins is only $40 a person. And you're out there experiencing great memories. You're feeling the
Yep.
water, you're feeling the breeze, you're hearing all the animals out there. And so the bucket list is endless. And my best advice to achieve that bucket list is to have a accountability team. So what would you like to add to that?
Well, I agree with all of that, especially the accountability team, because some people are indecisive. Some people, like you said, I have to get over the fear because they think that, they can't do it or they're afraid to do it for whatever reason. So having an accountability team or an accountability partner encourages you to, give it a shot. If it fails, it fails. But at least you can say you tried, and 99% of the time, it's probably going to be one of your best experiences, and it's going to definitely go down as a great memory.
So what's some of the stuff that's on your list?
Um, Paddleboarding's on one of mine. Let me see what else would be on a bucket list. I want to go to Europe. I would like to go. I mean, I have big bucket lists, but I also have small bucket lists. One of my smaller bucket lists is to be able to take my grandkids
Mm-hmm.
camping without them being scared. They're
Oh, wow.
tiny. It's
Yeah.
dark. So I'm hoping we're going to try it again this summer. I'm going to take them camping, so they can experience what it's like to sit under the stars and sit around a fire, which they've done all those things, but never in a way that there's nothing around them but nature. So that's on my summer bucket list. I have a few other items on my bucket list that I just will, keep to myself. I'm one of those people that, me, I don't like to tell people what I'm doing until it's done. And I'll tell you, in private. We'll have lots of good conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of which, next week, I'm traveling to go and see Cindy, and we're gonna do a whole week. We're gonna do a whole week of bucket list stuff.
Yes.
She's gonna show me around her city. We're gonna do a couple of things that I probably would not do otherwise. So what are the things that I'm gonna be doing with you that I would never do? The dolphin thing, I would never do that. We're going to Disneyland. I would never do that. I
Well, and
mean,
we're doing some private girlfriend things too. So one of the things I wanted to do in Huntington Beach is Zach's Rentals. They have one of those rentals where you just pedal. You can
oh
have
yeah,
like 3 or 4 people in there. So we could do that if you want. Also on Tuesday for lunch, or for later in the day, whatever works for you. We can go to that bougie coffee shop that I told you about that's over in Garden Grove
I'm a girl for coffee, so yeah, we're there.
there. And then also my friend in Santa Ana, he has an amazing Beals barbecue. So if you like brisket, that would be a really good place to enjoy. And then a few other things. It's
I'm
just
just
kind of
gonna let
girlfriend
you
time.
lead the whole entire way. The fact
Yeah.
that I actually get to go on a vacation, I still have to work a little bit while I'm there, but so do you. But I'm
Mhm.
going on a vacation with a girlfriend. We had so much fun when we went to Mexico. This is
Mhm.
gonna be a fun one too, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, and you're going to be my plus one for KTLA and doing the B roll while I'm getting interviewed and getting mic'd up. So that's going to be a great experience with you.
Yes, and I'm so proud of you for finally nailing that interview. I know how much it meant to you, and I know how much it means to you. And
Yes.
I was willing to forego anything that you scheduled for that day just to make sure that you were there.
And we have a half day at Disney, but we're still going to do great. One of the things I want to talk about, just kind of a little side note for people who have a business, this is a really great business bucket list, is to start a meetup. So I started my meetup. I've actually had a page called Surf City Foodies for
Mhm.
probably about 9 years. So I created it into its own brand. So it's called Surf City Foodies and Wonderlust Collab of OC. celebrate everyday holidays. So what I'm doing is I'm collaborating, like I told you earlier, with different restaurants and different venues, and we're doing like for National Beer Day or Wine Day. Like Wine Day's coming up, we're going to do a wine and cheese cruise, that type of thing, and it's really good for your brand. That way, you get to know people in your community. You're creating celebration around food. How do you
Yeah.
feel about Meetup? I love Meetup. I'm probably in about maybe 20 meetups on meetup.com. So it's
You
a really
know,
great
I
way.
like meetups, but I'm not like into doing a lot of meetups. That's just not my character.
Hmm.
Marlo's the meetup guy in the office. He's the
Yeah.
one who's always doing that stuff and out and about, and I'm okay with being the girl behind the scenes. Prefer to sit behind my computer and just create and monitor and do all the fun stuff. Well, things I think are fun stuff. Nerd girl fun stuff, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
But meetups are important because I feel like when you're in especially when you're in the world of business or you're doing something out in the public, meetups are important because it's great networking. You know,
Hmm.
you meet one person at a meetup, you're more than likely going to meet five more. And eventually, if you stay in touch with those people, there's a five per person. So now you have met, 25 different people. It's a great way to get support. It's a great way to support each other. So meetups open doors for people, and I think that's very important, especially if you're in the world of business or collaboration or creation. Meeting people that think like you and want to do things together to get the same outcome is great inspiration. So you can grow as a person and in your business.
Yeah. So one other thing I want to cover, and then we'll close out here in a few minutes, is that you're on Facebook, you're on TikTok, Instagram, whatever avenue you use, for your social media.
Yes.
Take the time to start connecting with people, meet people on Zoom, get to know them.
Yes.
Then the next step is to get off Zoom, get off Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and meet in your local community. Like I didn't do it this year because I got really busy, with the holiday, but every year for the last 5 years, I'll meet complete strangers, people I just met on Facebook, or people that I have a relationship with, and we'll
Yes.
all meet and do the dolphin excursion, or we'll go have some wine or some cheese or a nice meal or a nice breakfast. That is really powerful. But make sure you bring your phone because you want to journal those amazing
Yes.
experiences. So at the end of the day, it's about experience. It's
Yes.
about
I agree.
finding ways to let people know you care about them. National Bucket List Day actually started because of a story that I created with my mom and also with Princess Diana. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
You were not really young, but young enough. I remember you told me that you wrote a letter to Princess Diana, just
Hmm.
kind of like an inspirational kind of letter because you admired her.
Yes.
And your mom was trying to explain to you that you may not hear from them. She's the Princess of England, but lo and behold, you got a letter back, which I think is the sweetest thing ever. So, the fact that you were young enough to appreciate that and you were probably super excited. I would have been. Um,
Hmm.
so I know that's the story behind your inspiration, but I don't know any more than that.
So my mom used to express the importance of giving somebody an unexpected gift. So she would buy different gifts on Home Shopping, QVC, all those onlines, and have all these gifts in her home. And oh, I'm going to give Cindy a gift. I'm going to give Amy or Betty or Tammy or whatever, right? So she would give these individuals gifts. And that actually gave me an idea, maybe I should start something like that. But when I lived in Las Vegas, I had a housekeeping and chef business on the side, and I also worked at Ruth's Chris as a cook. And I said that, this is really great for me to appreciate my clients. And I did have one of my catering clients said, you send me a Father's Day card every year, and I'm not even your father. He goes, that means so much to me. He goes,
Yep.
you have no idea how much that means to me. Have you thought about doing this as a service where small business owners or, just general people who don't have the time to show kindness and follow up, like say they have a big family or they have a very busy business, they hire you to send these cards and gifts. So at first I was going to Walmart and Kmart and all that stuff, Macy's. get the gift, box it up, go to the post office, wait in line an hour and a half, yada, yada, yada. But I actually found a system where I do it myself through my computer. And that is much better than holding all that inventory. Because with my mom, she had all this inventory. But I have a website where I just create the gift, I add the special message, and I click send, and the company will print it and mail it for me.
Yeah, and that's
So that's
mailbox
part of
power.
the full
That's the
gratitude.
mailbox power people, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
But the gratitude is powerful.
Yes.
And here's 5 things you should do almost every day if you can. Sing happy birthday if you're brave. Send those 5 to 10 texts or phone calls. Write somebody a review. Do a video review. Find a restaurant. Do a reel and make a difference there. So we have our National Bucket List Day 1 day a year. But what are you doing every
Every
single
other day
day
of
of the
the year.
year to make a difference?
Exactly. I when sometimes when bad things happen to you in your life and you get to a place where you're healthy again, you're mentally healthy, you start and you reflect about stuff and you come to realize that you never know what kind of battles somebody's fighting. You could have the most happiest person
100%.
in the world, the most positive, outgoing, energetic, and something internally could be bothering them. So part of my daily bucket list is to make sure that I make somebody I know personally,
Hmm.
you know, not necessarily feel better, but hopefully, get the message across that they are important and, I'm here to listen if they ever need a friend. And just talk them until they're at a point where, okay, I'm feeling a little better now. And I don't do it to be, I don't know, over dramatic. I truly believe that people need people, and sometimes it's hard to ask people. So to have somebody there to give encouragement or just to listen, it goes a long way, and it also forms a stronger bond with that person, even if you don't see them often, and friendships are important. And it's important to lift people up and it's important to show gratitude. And, to me, that's one of my things that I do every day.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. Well, we're getting to the end of the show. So
Yeah.
the call to action for National Day Calendar is to go to the shop. So let's talk about the shop real quick, and then we'll go into my call to action.
All right. First, I'm going to do a quick little update. Is we transitioned to our own website platform over last weekend, and it is great. We're all loving it. We're all excited. There, just to let the world know, there are some things that we're working through. So please be patient with us. We are a small team. We are a mighty team, but we can only do so much at one time. So just keep checking back. Now we have a celebration shop. Our celebration shop sells everything from calendars to socks. We have wine glasses and stickers and charcuterie boards, ornaments. We have games. We have T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, flannels, which I think are the best because I'm a flannel girl. We have
Same.
hats and books. I mean, our store is extremely unique because we don't focus on one thing. We just focus on things that we think people will, enjoy, something that'll put a smile to your face. To access, it's nationaldaycalendar.com/store. It's very secure, very safe. And, we usually mail every single order out within 48 hours. The longest it takes is if it comes in on a weekend, it won't get mailed out until that Monday. But we have a quick turnaround and we have the best customer service because, if we have customers that have received damaged product or haven't received it at all, one of two things happen. We offer a refund or we just send you something else at no charge. So, we take our customers seriously. I encourage everybody to go take a look because everything in there is affordable.
Hmm.
The only problem is some of our stuff is very limited, and to us that's not a problem, but to some people it is. And inventory changes every week. We add new stuff every single week. So yeah, take a look at it and put an order in. And if you're watching this video now and you place an order and you say, "Hey, I seen you visiting with Cindy," I will put something special in your package.
Very nice. Okay. So my call to action you could share this video. Make sure that you subscribe to where'scindynow.com. That's WHERESCINDYNOW.com. Or you could simply just go to Bucket List Coach Web Show Live on YouTube, and you'll get a copy of the free Bucket List ebook. All right, shout outs. Who would you like to shout out today?
I just want to give a shout out to anybody out there who didn't think they'd make it through to Friday. Here you are, you did it. Be amazing. Go do something amazing for yourself.
Let's see. Pay it forward to somebody. So if you see somebody out and about, make sure that you compliment what they're wearing. You compliment them on their smile. One of the things I do is when I go to large shopping, like say a grocery store, or when I went to Costco a couple of weeks ago, I said, I'm going to say hello or compliment 30 people. And maybe 3 or 4 of those people ignored me, but you never know, like you talked about earlier, what someone is dealing with. So if you're complimenting somebody, it really means just some really powerful stuff.
You have got me beat. I say maybe 3-4 a day, and you got 30. Oh, good gravy, girl. I need to catch up.
Well, not all of them are going to say anything back, though. But, I think it's just a really great campaign to work on and, just making a difference. And I just got my stickers today. 2-inch stickers. So if you want them for your phone.
See, if everybody cares, I helped Cindy design that because she was having a creative block.
Which never happens.
It doesn't happen, but it's okay. I jumped in and I said, hey, how about this?
Because the other one was a little busy, with all.
It was very busy.
Yes.
Simple, sleek is better.
Yes, and I appreciate you so much, and thank you so much for everybody over on the team and everything that you do to make national holidays fantastic. And there's so many different national holiday websites, but the official holiday website is nationaldaycalendar.com. Anything else you'd like to shout out before we close?
Shout out to you. I'll see you on Tuesday.
All righty. All right, guys. This is Cindy and Amy.
Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Next time.